Hi everyone, today we're going to learn about compound inequalities. Now we talked a lot about inequalities in Unit 1, so a little bit of this is going to be review. If you notice, there's going to be a lot of empty boxes throughout this set of notes because the inequality symbols just wouldn't transfer over, which is okay, so we'll just write them together. First thing we're going to talk about is conjunction. Conjunction means the word and. The symbol for conjunction looks like an A. So again, that symbol can be used instead of the word and. So let's write down the example that's missing there from that first box. I have -1, the less than symbol, x, the less than or equal to symbol, and 2. So if I was to read that, I would read it as x is greater than or equal to -1 and less than or equal to +2. So it also can be separated with the word and. So I could actually write it as -1 is less than x, and x is less than or equal to +2. Instead of writing the word, we also can actually put in the and symbol instead of the word and. Well, and means that they share the answers. So basically, when you have an and, it means your circles should connect. Well, let's double check that this is true. I have -1 to the left, I have a +2 to the right. Take a look at those inequality symbols. It's an open circle at the -1 and a closed at the +2. So if I read it, I need every x that is greater than -1 and every x that's less than or equal to +2. So my circles do connect for an and, which is a conjunction. If I was to have a disjunction, which means the word or, it's only going to be true for either side, which means nothing in the middle is going to be shared. So basically, my circles here will not connect. The symbol for or looks like a V. So here's actually the example. The example could be x is less than or equal to -1, or x is greater than 2. And again, instead of writing the word or, they may also put this symbol in, which means or. Well, let's see if what I'm saying is true. If it's an or, which means my answers aren't shared in the middle, my circles should not connect. Well, let's draw this and see. The -1 is here, the +2 is here. Take a look at those inequality symbols. It's a closed circle at the -1 and an open circle at the +2. I need every x that's less than or equal to -1, which means it goes this way, and every x that's greater than 2. So when it is a disjunction, it's read with the word or because nothing in the middle is shared, which means it could be this or it could be this. Going back up to the top, when it's a conjunction and you're using the word and, it means everything in the middle is being shared, so you definitely would say it with the word and. Okay, that's just a little bit of review. So let's move on. Compound inequalities. The way we'd solve is you're just going to solve like an equation. But you have to remember when multiplying or dividing by a negative number, now this is very important, you're going to switch the direction of the inequality symbol. And I think that's a little bit of a review from 9th grade too. All right, solve and graph on a number line. What's missing in those boxes? Well, let's fill them in. This should say x is greater than or equal to -4. And this should say x is less than 3. Well, really, there's no solving to be done. It looks like it's solved, and it's an and. So something tells me if I actually graph it on the number line of what I learned on the previous page, my circles should connect. Let's see if that happens. So -4 is here, +3 is here. It's a closed circle at the -4 because of the symbol, and it's an open circle at the 3. I need every x that's greater than or equal to -4 and every x that's less than 3, so my circles do connect. So there is no solving, but I actually was able to graph it on the number line. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. Let's see what's missing there with number 2. Number 2, the first box should say k plus 6 is less than -4, or 3k is greater than or equal to 14. Or it tells me my circles will not connect. Well, let's see if that happens. But before I can actually put anything on the number line, I have to solve each. It's not like number 1 where they were solved for me. I actually have to get k by itself. So we have 2 inequalities to solve, so let's solve the left one first. We're going to subtract 6 on both sides, and we're going to get k is less than a negative 10. So he solved. The guy on the right, we're going to divide each side by 3. K is greater than or equal to, we're going to leave that as 14/3. All right, I'm going to stick them on the number line. I have negative 10 here. I have a positive 14/3 here. It's an open circle at the negative 10. It's a closed circle at the 14/3. I need every value of k that's less than negative 10, so it's going to go this way. And every value of k that's greater than or equal to 14/3, so it's going to go this way. So when we have the word or, that means they're not going to connect. So my actual answers have to be written separately. Now if I want to go back to number 1 and actually write out the actual answer, my x is being shared in the middle, negative 4 is to the left, positive 3 is to the right, greater than or equal to symbol and the less than symbol. So here's my answer. X is greater than or equal to negative 4 and less than 3. So, and shared in the middle or going opposite directions. Let's move on. Let's see what number 3 would be. Filling in number 3, 3x plus 8 is less than 5. All right, it's only got one inequality symbol, so we're going to solve. We're going to subtract 8 on both sides. We have 3x is less than a negative 3. We're going to divide by 3. Now we're dividing by a positive, not a negative. So my symbol is not going to switch. So I have x is less than a negative 1. I'm going to actually graph it on my number line. I only have one number. It's an open circle and it goes to the left. So my answer is right here. Let's take a look at the example in number 4, which is not there, so we're going to have to actually write it in. So it's 8, the less than symbol, negative 3x plus 2, the less than or equal to symbol, 14. So if I wanted to read this example, it would be read as negative 3x plus 2 is greater than 8 and less than or equal to 14. It's an and, which means when I actually solve this, my answers are going to have to connect. My circles will connect. So my answer is being shared in the middle. Well, how am I going to get 2 answers for this? Well, what you have to do is you have to give the middle to the left and then the middle to the right. So it's actually like splitting it to solve 2 separate inequalities. So we have 8 is less than negative 3x plus 2. And we have negative 3x plus 2 is less than or equal to 14. So now we actually have 2 inequalities to solve. So we're going to do one at a time. The left guy we're going to subtract 2 and get 6 is less than negative 3x. We're going to divide each side by a negative 3. Ooh, we're dividing by a negative here. So my symbol is going to flip. So I have negative 2 is greater than x. Okay. So now we're going to solve the guy on the right. We're going to subtract 2 on both sides and get negative 3x is less than or equal to 12. We're going to divide each side by a negative 3. Ooh, we're dividing by a negative. You're right, the symbol's got to flip. So we're going to get x is greater than or equal to a negative 4. Let's numberline this. Negative 4 goes to the left, negative 2 goes to the right. It's a closed circle at the negative 4. Look at the symbol that goes with the negative 4. It says equal to, so it's closed. And it's an open circle at the negative 2. So the first guy says I need every x that's less than negative 2, so it's going to go this way. And the other guy says I need every x that's greater than or equal to 4, so it's going to go this way. So my circles connect. So my answer has to be written with the x in the middle. So it's negative 4 to the left, negative 2 to the right. X has to be greater than or equal to negative 4 and less than negative 2. So and, make sure that my answer is being shared in the middle. All right, let's take a look at our last one. Which number is not in the solution of the inequality? Well, you don't have the inequality there, so let's actually write it. It is -4 less than or equal to negative 6x plus 2 less than or equal to 8. So again, you have two inequalities with your x in the middle, so it's being shared. So I'm going to have to give that middle to the left and then the middle to the right. So I'm actually going to be writing two inequalities out to solve. So I have -4 is less than or equal to negative 6x plus 2. And then I have negative 6x plus 2 is less than or equal to 8. Okay, we're going to solve the left first. I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides. And I'm going to get a negative 6 is less than or equal to negative 6x. I'm going to divide each side by a negative 6. I'm dividing by a negative here. So my symbol is going to flip. So I have a positive 1 is greater than or equal to x. Now let's do the right-hand side. I subtract 2 on both sides. And I have a negative 6x is less than or equal to positive 6. I'm going to divide each side by a negative. So again, I'm dividing by a negative. I'm going to flip my symbol. So I have x is greater than or equal to a negative 1. So let's do my number line. Negative 1 to the left, positive 1 to the right. They both have equal to, so they're both closed circles. They should connect because the original was being shared in the middle. So I need every x that is less than 1 and greater than or equal to negative 1. So they do connect. So my answers fall in the middle. Negative 1 to the left, positive 1 to the right. And you know my symbols always point in the left direction when it's being shared. So let's find out which one of those guys wouldn't fit there. Well, 1 is a solution because you have the closed circle. 0 falls between them, so that's a solution. 2 would be over here to the right. Is that in the solution? No, it's not. So it looks like choice 2 might be my answer. Let's take a look at negative 1. Negative 1 is part of my solution because it's a closed circle. So my answer is choice 2. Tomorrow we're going to learn about radicals. So get a good night's rest, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.